Welcome to my course, Game Development Basics, Week 8, Lesson 9, Releasing and Sharing Your Games. In this lesson, we'll describe popular methods for releasing projects to the public. We'll describe some common requirements for releasing games. And then I'll end the lesson by sharing some of the examples of projects that have been created by the community. So there are quite a few methods for releasing your project to the public, but I did want to go over some of the common ones. And some of these shouldn't be a surprise to you, but I just wanted to go over them anyway, just in case. So the most popular platform for releasing PC games is the Steam platform. Now, I'm assuming most of you are aware of the Steam platform. There are currently over 50,000 games on the US market in the Steam store, and this is a very common place for people to release games. It is also one of the least restrictive. They require some basic information about the game that you want to release, and at the time of recording this, there was a $100 fee to set up the Steam page for your project, but that's just a one-time fee. Now, the other fees that are charged are based upon the revenue of your game. So if you want to learn more about this, I recommend visiting partner.steamgames.com. I'll put a link to this in the description. And here is where you can learn about the requirements and some basic information about releasing your game on Steam. Another common method is the Epic Store. So if you're using Unreal Engine, you're probably already aware of this. If you've ever played Fortnite, you most likely have already been to the Epic Store. Now, Epic has been releasing a lot more games. If you do a little bit of research, you can find out they have about 2,000 games on there right now. But that number is growing as they add more titles to the library. One of the benefits of releasing on the Epic Store, though, is that Epic is trying to incentivize Unreal Engine developers, so they do offer some additional incentives if you release your game exclusively on the Epic Store. If you want to learn some more information about releasing on the Epic Store, I'll put a link to this as well in the description, and you can find a little bit more information on here. Now, anyone who's downloaded a mobile game on their tablet or phone has probably used either the Android Marketplace or the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. And these are platforms for releasing mobile games. They do have some very similar requirements to Steam and the Epic Store. And one thing to note with all the ones we've gone over so far is that there's typically a waiting period before you can release your game. So if you have a specific timeline in mind for releasing your project, I recommend getting started on getting the page set up as early as possible so that you can make sure that you fulfill all the requirements before your target release date. Now, another platform that's gaining a lot of steam, specifically with independent developers, is itch.io. Now, this is a popular platform. They do allow you to set up your own page and release your projects. And you can even set a price that is adjustable on this page, so kind of a pay what you want system. There's a lot of flexibility for independent developers that are just trying to get their games out there to the public without having to go through a lot of extra requirements. And because of the low requirements, this is also a common place where people will release demos of their game or even just have their portfolio pieces so that they can use them for resumes or job interviews. And the last one I'll go over are the console platforms. Now, these are the ones typically made by Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo or any other console developer. And these are typically the most restrictive. If you are intending to release your game on a console, I definitely recommend doing a lot of research on what the requirements would be well in advance. I've heard that there are a lot of roadblocks that can be in place for independent developers, so you want to make sure you give yourself plenty of time and resources to get your game out on those consoles if this is what you desire. Now, with every one of these release methods, there are going to be some basic requirements that are common across all of the different platforms. And the most obvious one is you do need a packaged version of your game. So you will need to build and package your project for distribution. And I recommend doing some heavy playtesting of that packaged project before you release it on the platform. You can always update the project once it is uploaded to the platforms. However, it becomes much more difficult and I recommend ensuring that you have the best possible version of your project before you release it. Also, most of the platforms are going to require some basic marketing media. This could be trailers, gameplay videos, screenshots, any other type of media that they require. Again, each of the platforms has their own requirements for this, so I do recommend doing some research and figuring out which ones you'll need. Most of them also require some basic information about your game, so a synopsis, some gameplay information, things that will better inform the user that's browsing through the store looking at your products. And in most cases, the platforms will require some type of age rating for your project. Now, these vary by country, so I recommend doing some research in your specific country or the countries you'd like to release in. In the US, this is called the ESRB rating system, and it does have some very specific requirements on what can be included in your project in order to release it to a target audience. And the last one is required by most platforms as well, and this is system requirements. So this is going to give the user some information about what type of system they will need to play your game. So if it's a PC, it'll be some basic performance requirements. If it's a mobile platform, it's going to maybe require a software version or even a hardware version. So I do recommend doing some research on what platforms your game will run on before you try to release, so that you can make sure that you're including all of the available versions or excluding all of the versions of these platforms where your project will not work. Now, one of the things that has really brought me joy with creating this course is being able to connect with the people going through the course. And I've seen some great work from some of the viewers. And I asked the community through my Discord channel to create some short clips of their gameplay, or even give me a packaged version of their game so I could play it myself. And I just wanted to take a few moments to share some of these examples.